Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hey there, and welcome to ya. September 28th. Can't believe almost October. You know, as you get older, time goes faster. Remember when you were a kid? And time was so slow. Well, anyway. As I said yesterday, I was not intending to watch the debate. I did not watch the debate. I don't know why anyone would watch the debate. None of those people are going to be the nominees. And they're a sorry lot of a shell of what used to be a major political party. And I just, again, treating them, it, the spectacle, the process, as if it is just another nominating process in our nation's history is absurd. This is different. Everything is different, and it's all different, as we know, because of, well, one man in particular. I had this fantasy today. I don't know if it's a fantasy. I just had this idea that as things close in on him, and things are closing in on him, here's a guy who spent his entire life lying, stealing, conning, grifting, fantasizing, and he somehow always, as we know, not only did he escape any consequence, he was rewarded. He rose, and he rose, and he rose. And I think the fact that this creep and con artist, this empty suit, was able to rise in stature, in perceived value in our nation, in our culture, says a whole lot more about us than it does about him. If anything, he is like the tumor that you finally recognize and see, oh my God, that takes you to the doctor where you find your body is riddled with them. He is, in that respect, the ultimate canary in the coal mine. The fact that this horrible, relentlessly horrible human could become the president of this country, the leader of a cult that has taken in an entire political party and a huge swath of the country's citizenry. It says something about us. Much will be written about what it says. But I was thinking, as it closes in for the first time on him, he has no capacity to deal with his future. None. None. The courts are beginning to strip him of his businesses. He will, I suspect, soon, by the courts, be stripped of his freedom. And he has nothing left in his arsenal but to unleash the whirlwind. And we know he will. But I was thinking, why do people not, I've not heard anybody say this. I'm sure it's been said, but the hell hasn't been. Why would he not, when things look truly bleak, and I don't know at what point that will be the case for him, where he sees no escape, why would he not flee? Why would he not? And I'm thinking of other strong men before him who have done so. Think of them. We're aware of autocratic leaders who, when things finally turn, take off and live often lavishly in some protected enclave. Why would he not do that rather than risk imprisonment? I can't see him in prison. I also can't see him not being sentenced to prison. So why would he not flee? And don't, I mean, I don't know, has he had to hand, I don't think he's been asked to hand over his passport. And I know he's totally recognizable, but good heavens, there are ways to be spirited out of a country. And I'm starting to think that will be a potential end. That, like Idi Amin, didn't he go to Saudi Arabia? Duvalier, where'd he go? There's always some country that will take him. My God, Russia will take him in a minute. He can go into the warm embrace of Kim Jong-un. And I just think that is a possibility that I've not heard discussed. Speaking of disgust, there was a response to something Trump said, as usual, disparaging somebody else, because that's what he does, this little man. And the person, I guess, he disparaged was the actor, director, George Clooney. The context, I don't know, but I do have here Clooney's response, which I would like to share with you. Apparently, Trump said that Clooney was part of and this is a right-wing talking point, the Hollywood elite. And yeah, he certainly is. He's one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. So, although he doesn't really act much anymore, does he? But he's, yeah, huge. He was huge, incredible career. Done a lot of humanitarian work. His wife is a true humanitarian, social justice worker. And Trump, who's done nothing but destroy things, people's lives, perhaps the democracy of this nation, people's dreams. George Clooney said this back to Trump. Here's the thing. I grew up in Kentucky. I sold insurance door to door. I sold ladies' shoes. I worked at an all-night liquor store. I would buy suits that were too big and too long and cut the bottom off the pants. Made ties, so I'd have a tie to go on job interviews. I grew up understanding what it was like to not have health insurance for 8 years. So this idea that I'm somehow the Hollywood elite and this guy who takes a shit in a gold toilet is somehow the man of the people is laughable. He goes on to say, you know, people in Hollywood, for the most part, are people from the Midwest who went to Hollywood to have a career. So this idea of coastal elites living in a bubble is ridiculous. Who lives in a bigger bubble? He lives in a gold tower and has 12 people in his company. He doesn't run a corporation of hundreds of thousands of people he employs and takes care of. He ran a company of 12 people. You know, when you direct a film, you have seven different unions, all wanting different things. You have to find consensus with all of them, and you have to get them moving in the same direction. He's never had to do any of that kind of stuff. I just look at it and laugh when I see him say, Hollywood elite. I don't have a star on Hollywood Boulevard. Donald Trump has a star on Hollywood Boulevard. Fuck you. That was George Clooney's response. He doesn't have a star on Hollywood Boulevard, and I know Trump does, which certainly devalues having one. And if George Clooney doesn't, I don't understand then what the criteria are, even though I wanted to say is. Hey, good news. I found some. I did. It's unbelievable. And it is official. Your Pittsburgh Pirates are going to finish the season ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals. By quite a bit. That has not happened since the last century. That has not happened since 1999. The Pirates finishing the season ahead in the standings of the St. Louis Cardinals. That is mind-blowing. And if they just won a few more here and there, they could have Could have been at 500. Damn it. Anyway, just saying. Ah, just a saying. So, Trump, I said yesterday I was so annoyed by the media's talking about Trump going to talk to the auto workers the day after Biden walked the picket line with them, that this was just bullshit. He wasn't going to talk to the auto workers. He was talking at an auto parts company, a non-union company, and he is against the strike. He does not support the strike. He does not support the auto workers. He's never supported a union. And I just saw that when he went to speak at this non-union factory yesterday, he kept talking to the crowd as if it was the UAW. I mean, I don't know if he didn't know. Does he not know where he is and who he's talking to? Those aren't strikers he was talking to. There might have been 2 or 3 members of the UAW in the, I don't know, but that was not that. And he said like this, your head man, Sean, that'd be Sean Fain, the head of the UAW. He's got to endorse Trump. Speaking of himself in the third person. Oh yeah, Donald, I'm sure that's going to happen. Sean, as you so familiarly called him, even though you've never laid eyes on him and wouldn't be able to pick him out of a lineup of 2 people, Sean Fain was the guy standing next to the president of the United States the day before with his union members. Unbelievable. he wants the endorsement of the union whose strike he is not supporting. Yeah, that's a good one. He doesn't even know where he is, who he's talking to. But media talk about what? Do we talk about his brain and his kind of melting down what is still there? I don't know about you. I've seen a few more interviews with Cassidy Hutchinson. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. My Lord. What just extraordinarily awful people in his White House. None of whom he would lift a finger to help. Unbelievable. Okay, enough of that. So, Robert Menendez. Boy, his wife sure looked a lot different heading into court. Yeah, and all of a sudden she wasn't like showing off her boobs and wearing some tight fit. She was a little crisp white collared shirt, her hair pulled back, looking anything but the glittery arm candy she was attempting to be. Interesting that of all the people that have been charged in this scandal, I believe Menendez, the senator, had the lowest bail to post. His wife her bail was set, I think, much. I think I heard at 500,000. I think his was just a quarter. 250, I think. I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. And I find it interesting that, her bail was set higher, which suggests she clearly, from what we know of this and the sort of timeline of it, I mean, the minute she starts dating him, the minute she gets him, the contacts with the Egyptian American businessman just begin immediately. And from the time I first read this, how can you not wonder if she is not and was not from day one an operative of some sort, or somebody that these business guys in the Egyptian government thought would be very useful to get them to one of the most powerful people in the Congress by virtue of his position. And the fact that he heads the most important committee that whose information they would want. I just wonder. And she's the one who hooked him. He didn't know these guys. She immediately hooks him in with these people. And immediately the money starts. The one guy gives her a do-nothing job. The money starts flowing. Okay, here's another thing. I don't know. I mean, I think Menendez got had. I think he was, obviously, his nature is to play fast and loose. The only reason he is still a senator is, a few jurors in his last trial didn't think they had quite enough evidence, but a whole lot of others did. I mean, he was not really exonerated. So I'm thinking they knew Menendez is a guy who plays. They knew that, I don't know. Learning as we have in so many ways of how things operate, it can be so sordid, coming down to just playing at individual frailties, knowing a person's weak spots, knowing how to play them. I mean, this is all the stuff of, right, like spycraft, right? So to think, and we do know this now, that, there are efforts constantly to infiltrate, to hook up with the powerful, sometimes to get them in positions where you own them. And I don't know. And it's fascinating how he will do what Donald Trump has taught all of us now to do, that when caught and the evidence is overwhelming, and to show no shame, to double down and to refuse to do the right thing. So Menendez is doing the Trump's handbook treatment of what you do when you're caught. Incredible. So, well, look at this. I'm glad. The Senate on a unanimous consent, it's called a resolution. It's a voice vote, I believe. The Senate itself said that we want all male senators to wear a coat, a tie, and long pants on the chamber floor. It passed. So that's the way it's going to be. And, okay by me. It's okay by me. What a bunch of nonsense. And Chuck Schumer, I don't even understand why he set that whole thing off. Why he did that. I mean, without thinking the furor it would cause, without thinking how harmful it would be, without giving Republicans this wonderful distraction that they didn't have to bother manufacturing. Speaking of distractions that they manufacture, God knows they don't need any help in manufacturing them. They, of course, are seriously today starting this impeachment inquiry. They're starting to, I guess, hold hearings showing what they got against Biden, and they got nothing. Anybody, you don't have to be like a partisan. They've got nothing. Nothing. Government's about to shut down. And that's what these clowns, these performance artists, are doing as hundreds of thousands of American workers face losing their paychecks in a matter of days. They're doing nothing. And nothing angers me more than that the House can do this, paralyze the government, fail to fund its workers, and yet continue to get a paycheck themselves. Who could, well, I'll stop asking these questions because there are no answers. There are no answers other than they're shameless and should be thrown out the door. I have a caller. Hey there.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, Lynn. It's Beth calling. I was calling on two things. One, I couldn't agree with you more on Chuck Schumer. When they didn't pick or force the thing of, you know what, Chuck, you had your time. It's now time to bring in someone new as a majority leader, either a Cory Booker type, I'm blanking on her name, Amy Klobuchar, someone who can work with both sides, who are moderates, who could rally the troops, but also, I hate to say it, whose staffs are really good at social media. And this way, it's another kind of arm of the DNC. And then just for, this is going to come back to bite them. And the White House better figure out something. The fact you had Schumer doing this whole wardrobe thing, like everything's perfect with the government. When you hear people complaining, every time I go into a grocery store, you hear people complaining about the prices.
Yeah.
And this is really where it's going to be a thing where all politics is local. And, they get sucked into this beltway mentality. And I think this issue is really going to hurt them. And I think, if anything, which I know it won't happen, especially now heading into an election thing, but somebody needs to pull Chuck aside and say, you know what, kind of like a Dianne Feinstein, Chuck, time to step away.
Yeah, I so agree with you. I mean, an incredible opportunity lost, to get some new blood. He is the least, next to, I still forget that he's the Senate Majority Leader, because I still think of Mitch McConnell as the Senate Majority Leader.
Well, that's the other thing too, is you have something that Democrats have been praying for a long time, a wounded McConnell. And the fact, if situations were reversed, and let's say it was Schumer who was the almighty powerful one and McConnell was on the other side, you think he'd be talking about wardrobe? No, he'd be pushing through every frickin' thing you could possibly push through. And he didn't seize that opportunity.
Nope. No, it's just, he's not, well, very few people rise to the level of knowing how to play the game than Mitch McConnell.
He is an absolute master at it. And for you to have him wounded, the Republicans kind of split of who do we follow. Romney saying, hey, I'm not running again. Now was your time to really seize and do some stuff. And you'd go for casual Friday versus
shorts. Yeah. I know. It's maddening. Yeah. It's a gift. It was such a gift in so many ways to the Republicans.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get it at all. And again, I thank him for his service. You've been a great senator for the state of New York. It's time to step aside.
Yeah, get the hell out.
And I have to say, my first time with him when he was majority leader, the time before, the first time around, when he rewarded Joe Manchin, when Joe Manchin was kind of being obstinate, and you gave him the position on the security count, or on the national security, which that's one of the prime time seats. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, why are you rewarding him and not spanking the hell out of him? He should not be on the Intelligence Committee. You need to break him and get him to be in party line. So my frustration with him kind of goes back a little bit. Two, your question with Clooney and the Hollywood Walk of Fame of why he's probably not on it.
Yeah.
One, it's kind of looked at as just a PR thing. Like a lot of the agencies try to get their clients, and there's some money passed around to get their clients on the Walk of Fame type of you hear. But the other agreement you have to do is that you will be there at the ceremony. So if you don't want to be at that dog and pony thing, you know what? I'm not doing it because I'm not coming. And if they want to put me after I die, let them put me down after I die.
So the bigger stars say, what the hell do I need this for?
Exactly.
He doesn't. Yeah. Well, that explains a lot. And I thank you. So the bigger stars say, you mean, I've got to get down on my hands and knees and stick my hands in that muck and, look up at the cameras and all this stuff and then go to some stupid party. Don't have to.
That's it. So that's the condition of, that's the condition of you getting your stars. You have to be at the ceremony. So. Okay.
Well, hey, as long as I got you and the, you're the Hollywood expert here. The, SAG-AFTRA, it would seem that with the writers probably about to ink a contract, that, that's great, but you still need actors to do a lot of the work. So wouldn't this bode well for the SAG-AFTRA reaching an agreement pretty soon?
I would say so, but here's the thing, Lynn. When you start a project, first of all, if it's not written, you can't have all the rest of us start to work on whatever project it is. So, and you might figure on an average feature, you're looking at it like a 12-week prep week before you'd start shooting. So you minimally have, I would say, for most shows, at least 8 weeks before really actors would be needed at this point.
Are you talking? You're talking TV and film?
I'm talking TV and
okay.
film.
Okay.
So they still have some time to get at least kind of a deal in place. Hopefully, I haven't heard. That was the weird thing, and I think that's where everyone kind of knew this writers thing was really going to happen, because every time they'd finally come out of whatever discussion, stuff would get leaked of what they were agreeing to, what the producers weren't agreeing to, that sort of thing. This time, it was very tight-lipped. No one really knew what's the deal in place, and a lot of people still don't. But the WGA is telling writers, if you want to go back to work, you can. You're not forced to, because technically there's not a deal in place. Because the membership still has to ratify it, of what the board, what the negotiators agreed to. But there's still, you still have easily, I would say, 8 weeks before SAG could reshut everything down again, I would say.
Oh,
just because it does take that long to get sets built, wardrobe done, every single thing, bank accounts opened. Like, you really are just a nomadic tribe starting from ground zero, getting something going from whatever word somebody wrote on a page. And it does take a bit to get it going.
Of course. I'm thinking, though, that so many of the issues have to do with the unknown of this new world we're heading into, of artificial intelligence, that is going to upend so much that has been just the way things work and solid. We're about to head into just who knows what. So you've got these two sides, neither of whom really know the impact. Nobody knows yet. So they're bargaining, trying to protect themselves in both instances, on both sides, against something that they're not quite sure about. And this will happen. This is happening with the UAW. This is happening with all of the strikes that we'll be seeing, because they'll be coming out of the woodwork as workers try to hold their jobs from being taken by the robot. And Lynn, I just have to say, the WGA and SAG were very lucky that they were able to do this at this point. Someone like in my position, you know what? Artificial intelligence can take my job tomorrow, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And the union, when that contract, you do the
payroll. I do the payroll and contracts on movies. So, I read all these things from beginning to end and know what all of the fun stuff is, from the lowly caterer all the way up to the star of the show. That can take us over. And again, we have no way of going back and saying, hey, that's not fair. I would hope that the WGA and SAG would also then strike for us. I don't know if that would happen. You don't have a union, do you? Some, depending on if you work outside the major studios, there are unions that cover the position. I'm just going to say, for accounting, it is an impotent union. And I have fought it just because I don't see it fighting for what's right for my position, let's just say.
But you're right, because that kind of thing, number crunching, reading contracts, my God, an AI, a thing can do that in 2 seconds.
Bingo. Yeah, and they don't have to pay for someone on board and everything else. So
what the hell are you going to do?
I have no clue. I've been trying to think of how to get the hell out of this business now for a little bit.
Wow.
But because I kind of saw the writing on the wall during COVID when they started unveiling a lot of new digital systems coming out. Just kind of seeing the writing on the wall. You know what? I'm glad I'm near the end of my career, not the beginning of it, because I kind of see what's happening. but I'm proud, as much as these strikes have impacted my life personally in a very negative way. Yeah. I am proud in the sense that this was kind of the epicenter of this new labor movement. You know, it started with the writers. It started with SAG. It then has moved to the auto workers, to Vegas. Right. You're now starting to see an empowerment of labor that I haven't seen in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. So from that standpoint, I'm very proud of what they've done. But that's probably the only part.
I gotcha. Because, I mean, my God, it's not any comfort to you knowing that literally millions upon millions of other Americans are going to be in the same boat. Their jobs are in total jeopardy. And most Americans are not unionized. And most of these things now are white collar. They're white collar jobs. No one gave a damn if the robots were coming for the warehouse workers' work.
Yeah, and as much as I'm not a fan, especially post Epstein, of Bill Gates, you know, he did sound this bellwether several years ago that we need to start thinking of how do we keep people funded whose jobs are going to be taken by artificial intelligence, whether it's just a lump sum payment. You know, what are things we need to start rethinking of what our quote unquote workforce is going to be. And no one's addressing that at all.
People are already so, it feel like everything is so destabilized and nothing's functioning. And all of this is going to create even more chaos, which suggests and fear and anxiety. And I'm scared because when people get as scared as they're about to get, they fall even more than they already clearly are for autocrats. People with easy answers.
Right. They think it's the easy answer. And the thing is, people continue lashing out. When people are afraid, they lash out. We experienced that, especially during the pandemic. Right. You know, people are just angrier in the markets, in the stores, and at the football games. People are just angrier.
Yeah, you can.
And it's only going to intensify. The thing with SAG and AFTRA with their contract, and I'm sure how they have artificial intelligence, I would guess, written in there like their past contracts. It's written in a very gray way that as AI evolves, if there are subshoots that maybe the contract doesn't address head on, I'm sure they'd be able to strike again. That would be my guess to your earlier question.
Yeah. Oh, Beth. I God help you and God help us all. And
exactly. But hey, I'm wearing shorts today, so it doesn't matter.
And hey, thank you for your always, really smart and interesting contributions to this program. I so appreciate it.
Oh, Lynn, bless you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean it. And I'm sure the audience would agree. You're definitely up there as a favorite caller. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
I mean it. You too. Bye. Bye-bye. Hey, I'm going to put something out there. Have I done this? I don't think I have. Speaking of callers, I'm worried about someone we haven't heard from in a long time. Mike from D.C., who then became Mike from, where was he there for a while? He was moving around. He was in Florida, then he was up in, I can't remember, another good caller. And then he moved up here. He was moving up to Pittsburgh. And now he's dropped off our radar. And it's not a matter of, you know what? I'm going to make a note to myself. Try to track him down just to know he's okay. Because as you know, those of you who've listened for a long time know that, this becomes kind of a community, whether I know you on the street or not. I feel, like I know you, many of you, and I care. And if I don't hear from you in a long time, I get scared. I'm a catastrophist. I assume the worst. So it'd sure be nice to know that he's okay. Doesn't have to call, just hope he's okay. Okay, back to where we got. Oh gosh, I read the most bizarre story about. Did you see this? It was in the Washington Post, and I just want to share it for those of you who didn't see it. The headline says it all. Troops storm a prison. They find inmates had built a luxury resort. Yeah. Well, it didn't happen here in the United States. It happened in this hemisphere. It happened in Venezuela. 11,000 soldiers stormed into this big prison a few weeks ago. And they found, well, I mean, this is a classic case of the inmates totally running the asylum. And they discovered that this prison now had a professional baseball field, swimming pools, yeah, plural, children's play equipment, a small zoo with monkeys and flamingos. They also found concrete tunnels going in and out. They found about 200 women and children living very happily on the grounds. What they didn't find was this cartel leader, El Chapo Guzman. No, that's not his name. Wait. They did not find El Nino Guerrero. He was the most notorious inmate. And he heads this terrorist criminal operation that has been terrorizing much of Venezuela and its neighboring states of Peru and Chile, Ecuador, Colombia. And I guess he could go in and out. Who knows? Interpol has issued a red alert seeking his capture. And and it says here, and critics are asking how his gang managed to turn the prison into a luxury resort. Well, yeah, that would be a question I would have too. You know, there's corruption and then there's corruption. This country has more corruption than I've seen in my lifetime, our country. But it's always had a corruption problem. Every human run thing has a corruption problem. But man, something like this is like, what? And I'm thinking of Mexico, where the cartels own the police and big parts of the government, where you can't tell where one stops and the other starts. And that has to be the case in this prison. Prison. Who wouldn't want to be in the prison? It was nicer living than on the outside for a whole lot of Venezuelans. You wonder why Venezuelans there's millions now that have fled the country, and they constitute a large part of the people that are desperately trying to get into this country. God, listen, as fucked up as the United States of America is, all of us should thank our lucky stars that by pure accident of birth, we at least are living our lives here. It is so much better. I mean, there are other places that would be better, I think, but it is so much better than so many places. What do you want? You want Venezuela or you want the U.S.? Just saying. All those Venezuelans coming here are answering that for you. By the way, there's people going the other way, and I don't know if that's gotten a lot of attention. And they're going from the United States into Mexico. Desperate women. We see desperate women coming one way. We see desperate women going the other. And the women from the United States that are going into Mexico are going for abortion. Good God. Hey, I've been pretty hard on the Republicans. I mean, they're doing their best. They did do some votes yesterday. They actually got down to business. The House, your House of Representatives, voted yesterday to reduce the salary of the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, to $1. Yes. That was something that had been put forward by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And damn if her esteemed colleagues didn't think it was a hell of a good idea. And as some wag on the internet said, well, it's not the first time a white woman from Georgia demanded a black man work for free. Lloyd Austin is, and I'm sure is the first black defense secretary in the country. Did they get him that workaround they did? They actually got him so that he's actually is the defense secretary and not just acting. I guess that's true. They managed to pull that off. And now the Republicans say she said later, it's $1 too much. Yeah. So, yeah, your Republican House also yesterday barred the Pentagon from requiring any service member to get a vaccine. And, of course, totally stripped funding for the Pentagon's Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Because if it ain't just going to be all white heterosexual guys, well, then, you gotta, man, these are rough times. Rough times. Ooh. Okay. I think I saw something here that was something I wanted to share with you. It was a smart thing I read in the Atlantic. Oh, come on, don't tell me I don't have an account. I have a friggin' account. Hang on a minute here. Hang on, I'll get it, I think. Okay, I'm taking too much time. I am really sorry. It was smart. It was about Trump. I'll find it. I'm sorry. This is not good. This is not good radio, Cullen. Not good radio. Well, it isn't radio, she said in her defense. Atlantic. Here it is. I got it. Okay. Just get a fucking cat. Here. This is by a woman named Laura Kelly. I just thought it was smart. It reads it to you. Donald Trump is a deals guy. He rode his image as real estate mogul and the maestro of transactions, first to pop culture stardom and then to the White House. And now a judge has ruled that much of that deal making was fraudulent. Yep, that judge said that Trump and his associates, his sons, Eric and Don Jr., committed persistent fraud by toggling estimates of property values in order to get insurance and favorable terms on loans. The judge ordered that some of the Trump organization's corporate charters be canceled and that a receiver be appointed by the court to dissolve some of its New York companies. The latest blow for Trump puts on record that his mythology of business acumen was largely built on lies. But really, it's just a first step toward the broader business restrictions on Trump. And they start talking about what's coming up. So in the trial that was set to start next week, the judge will determine penalties for the fraud committed. The Attorney General of New York had asked for $250 million fine and restrictions that prevent Trump and his kids from running a company in New York State ever again. This, of course, do you imagine, really? I just want to say, would you imagine what's going on in this guy's head in as much as he's capable of thinking? The judge essentially determined that it was so clear that Trump had committed fraud that it wasn't even worth wasting time at a trial figuring that part out. Just saying. So it says here that this ruling may do little to dampen Trump's appeal among his die-hard fans. But it could puncture his persona. Because Trump's political career is based on the myth. And you've talked to the people who are in his cult. They think he was a brilliant businessman. They think because they think that what they see on TV with a Celebrity Apprentice, they bought into that. It's built on the fact that he's a great businessman. And this ruling right here cuts straight to the root of that, showing that his business was built on fraud, on lies. And what the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, had called the art of the steal. So, there's that. Well, guys, I think that's it. It looks to me like we're at a time. I had other stuff. I always have so much stuff here that I never get to, and I think I'll get to that tomorrow. And then guess what happens? Great. I'll get to that tomorrow. Yeah. Looks like we're heading into another beauty of a day. I sure hope you are able to get out into it, even if that means sitting on a stoop, on anything, just feeling the air, feeling the sun. Yeah, I hope you can. I don't think there's anything more restorative than nature, the real world. Thank you so much. And I'll be back next month, for God's sake. It'll be next month, right? Anyway, Monday. Okay? See ya.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.